So we got there and we signed in, and they said, oh, all the other babies have been born, so it's just you. So whenever you're ready, if you'd like to come down. Well, this was unexpected to me. I was gearing myself up for maybe a 11 or a 12 later on in the morning moment. And it turns out she was out. She was in my arms by about 9:25. And so compared to the 3-day extravaganza, the all-day festival that was my son's birth, this was very different. And once again, I had different feelings of like, oh, I feel like this is different and this is straightforward. And did I do it right? And all of these things. And the doctor that delivered my daughter, honestly looked like Beyonce. She looked so beautiful. She was also 6 months pregnant as well, and was just like, here I am. Here's another baby today. And I actually said to her, how many births do you do a day? And she said, I usually do about 8 or 9. And I guess this is my first takeaway. So I'm just seeing out the window, and there's a man just walking down my road in a dressing gown. I don't know where he's going or where he's been, but I'm intrigued. But I'm going to focus on you. So I suddenly realized, oh, she delivers babies all the time. So if she's doing 8 or 9 a day and she's working a 5-day week, which she's probably not because she works for the NHS, she could be delivering anywhere between, say, 40 and 50 babies a week. And that really reassured me. And that's the first takeaway from today. We do not have to be everything to everybody. We have to do the things that we know we're great at, the things that we know we love to do, and do them well and do them brilliantly. And that is enough. This sense that we always have to be nimble and pivoting and all the things and like straight A's across the board, I really don't think that is the case. And this doctor was not trying to be anybody else. She wasn't like, you think I'm good at delivering babies? You should see how I can cook a cheesecake or how I can drive a tractor. She's like, no, I'm delivering babies. That's what I'm doing. And so that's my first takeaway. The second thing is I really remembered having her on the Tuesday morning, and then maybe the Tuesday night, like I felt all right, but there's that moment after a C-section where they go, so we're going to have a little walk, shall we? And you think, I don't really understand how I'm going to do that, because you took the baby out and it feels like you took all my stomach muscles, core strength, sense of balance. It all went out. But there is that moment. Anyway, I was able to do that slowly but surely with assistance. And I remember saying to the midwife on duty, what do I need to do? What are the checks that you are looking for so I can then go home? And one of the things, glamorously, she said, was she brought in like an egg box, but it was like a massive bowl made out of cardboard. She said, you basically need to be able to fill this with wee twice. And as long as baby's all right, as long as you're okay, this is like one of our major moments. Again, I'm not a medical person, don't quote me on this, but this is what she said to me. So of course I was like, right, water, let's go. Let's begin this process. Let's see if I can do this. And turns out I could step up to the task, and I went home the next day. Now, where I want to talk about this is with my son, I felt like I planned everything. We used to have these things called BMs, which were our baby meetings. So Matt and I were working so much during my pregnancy with my son, and we used to go, right, on Tuesday we'll order the buggy, so let's sit down, what time are you home from work? And we literally used to put these kind of half-an-hour meetings, when you have to like make decisions on stuff. Are we going to do this? What happens next? Write the birth plan, all that sort of stuff. Decide on the name, all of these things. It really worked for us. And I had a plan. I had an emergency contact list. I had so much. And yet when I had him, the delivery was everything that I hadn't planned. It was I hadn't even read the chapter on the C-section in the book, because I didn't know people had C-sections. Certainly the limited conversations I'd had with my mum, that was quite unusual. But again, that would have been 33 years beforehand. And I really felt quite discombobulated for a long time. My daughter, the opposite. I was quite anxious. I was quite nervous. I'd been in that hospital so much. But on the day, honestly, things couldn't have gone better. It was so straightforward. I'm not even going to say easy, because I think I would never want to minimize actual surgery. But it was honestly like there've been times where I've had norovirus or flu, and it's been worse than that. And I know that was all kinds of things. That was just her birth. Sorry, my phone was about to fall. That was just the way that it happened. What I want to take away from now, even though I'm sharing this, is I'm looking at my kids, and I'm looking at them being 7 today and nearly 11. And yes, those birth stories of how they came into the world are different, but it was very much the beginning. And I love this story from my mum when she would go to, I don't even know what it was, like mother and baby situation where they'd have pregnancy things in the village hall. And this woman was like, I bet you're all gonna go home and mop your floors before you have your babies. And they were all kind of nodding like good, early 80s women and wives. And she went, well, I just let you know, even after you've had your baby, your floor will still need mopping. And I was like, oh yeah, it is that thing. But how this relates to business is there are many ways that you can do this. There are some ways that will be tried and tested and it just won't work for you. There will be moments where you think it's going to go a certain way and it will go in a completely different direction. It will also be down to your perspective. And I urge you to get what you need. I really needed that birth reflection from my son, because I felt like if I didn't have it, I would still carry so much stuff. And honestly, in an afternoon, it cleared it. I was able to compartmentalize it in my head. The other thing is, even though I remember the feeling, as that woman said, do you feel like you let yourself down by not having the birth that you envisaged? I couldn't pick her out of a crowd. I don't know who she is. I can't even remember her name. I just remember the feeling. Now, for me, what I get to choose is how I take that forward. And maybe she had her own stuff going on around that. Maybe she just loved doing that. That was her thing. Maybe she didn't even think about it at all. But for me going forward, I need to put that somewhere and do something with it. The second thing is, with my daughter, once again, even though the birth was relatively straightforward and it was such a relief to have that moment, there were other challenges that didn't exist in the first year, say, of my son. COVID came very quickly round the corner. She was about 6 months when that happened. My partner lost all of his work. I signed up for a year-long coaching program. Great move, hey? Setting up another standing order, which was more money than I'd ever spent on anything. But it ended up being one of the best years in business that I've had. To summarize this 2-part series, firstly, just don't give yourself a hard time. Give yourself that grace and that kindness and that compassion. And know that this idea of perfection and everything being neat and tidy, it's an absolute myth. And I get why people chase it. I get why people long for it, because it feels good. If everything looks neat on paper, then it's like, it's really going to work. Come back for part 3, by the way. I'm just going to pause this and so I don't have to edit it, and I'll see you in the